Hi everyone, thank you so much for that beautiful introduction. Thank you. Yeah. So first I'm going to read from my debut collection of poems called Uprooted. So Uprooted talks to the migrant experience from the perspective of an African woman. So I tell stories through poetry, and in this book you'll find stories about all those things we've heard about people who come here, you know, the person who comes here and then finds no one waiting for them at Heathrow, and maybe someone who gets reported to immigration and then they get sent home. All those stories that we've heard about that happen to people in this country, they're all in Uprooted. So I'll read you a couple of poems from here and then I'll move on. So, so the first one is called Misfortune. And also just to let you know, Uprooted is actually a collection of translated poems. I first wrote these poems in Shona, in Chikaranga. I'm originally from Mashingo, so I'm from Karanga. And Jadzubo Msango is actually the book that comes before this. And then I translated Jadzubo Msango, which means uprooted from your natural habitat. I translated that to Uprooted. So the first poem is called Misfortune. And it's originally translated from a poem called Mbwagaiga in Shona. Hello, Pineliza. Knock, knock, knock. Here we are in 2000. The world did not end. I'm the first in my neighborhood to emigrate. I'm feeling myself like honey, you have no idea. So lucky to travel with no need for a visa. Blessed Commonwealth. Finally rode on a plane. I'm truly ecstatic. Why would I ever have needed to board one? A sky hotel with bottomless toilets. I gourmandize with pleasure as I am in heaven, literally devouring everything, even things I do not recognize. Guzzle all sorts, both fizzy and alcoholic drinks. I'm overwhelmed with giddiness. Lord be with me. Travel opens eyes to new things. Got to see for yourself. It has landed. The candelabra of the clouds. Well done, mesmerizing hostesses. See you later. Those I've left back home will see each other if God wishes. If it gets too exciting here, you'll never see me there. Queuing up nicely, we wait for passport inspection. The biting cold reaches my marrow and asks what my totem is. The bomber jacket, polyester tracksuit, and viscose attire seems useless now. This common fashion from Edgar's. In a stealth-like fashion, I hesitantly meander ahead, repeating to myself the words I rehearsed. Yes, I have some money. I've only come for a vacation. Someone is waiting for me outside. My chest throbs hard like the band Utambura Wunda. My ancestors grace me, and I fluently spit out English. Get in, we're in. My passport has been stamped. Soon as I pick up my lunch bag, I'm stopped again. All meat and fruit from my country goes straight into a bin. Made it through the little eye. Some passengers have been deported. Red phone, where are you? I look for it with red eyes. Rav, where on earth are you? You said you'd be dressed in red. I ring her phone number, I ring her number, and all I hear is grrr, grrr. The phone is eventually switched off. Proper debt treatment. My belly is in distress. Hunger will kill me today. Having sold my only cattle, Bushmani and Gwehlava, I could only pay for the flights, and the red note remains. I wander around the airport and find nothing affordable. The note doesn't buy much, only a slice of cake and tea. Never go to places where your mother is not. I see red. I finally find a newspaper and start researching ideas. Not much I can do with my remaining pound. Off to the trains, where I shall spend the night. Off I jump when I get booted out, and jump onto the next. Feels like I'm connecting buses at Buka bus station, surviving on food remnants thrown away by others. On the third day, living on trains. Soon as I finish cursing my ancestors, I hear speakers of my language in my dialect. They're from my hometown, children of my aunt. By the end of the day, we're already grafting. My ancestors, thank you for not forsaking me, but never will I forget the day I saw misfortune. And the second and last poem I'll read from this book is called Uprooted Establishment. And it's just a poem that encourages migrants to start kind of fitting in the environments that they are. You know, stop feeling like you're a foreigner, because that feeling of being like a ghost or an apparition or a person with no belonging, it can really eat you out, and I think it can eat you up, and I think it's important to start, you know, belonging to wherever you are. And that is probably one of the ways you can attain happiness. So, root establishment. At what point will you stop considering yourself an outsider? How can you be happy with a fettered heart? Due to lack of liberty, you are a plant uprooted from its natural habitat. Remember, you are thick-skinned like a down-fortified house. Wherever you reside now, even if you expect to return home, even if you're an asylum seeker, time and tide wait for no man. You may die tomorrow. Prepare for your death consciously. It is the only way to be mindful and content daily. The world belongs to one owner, God in heaven, who created the universe. Borders in this world were created by humans, who will all die and exit the world. Refuse to live like a prisoner wherever you are. Refuse to be treated unfairly wherever you are. Be free as if you're in your mother's house. Be joyous as if you're in your father's house, because this world was created by your father. Do as you would do back home. Live in the here and now. Respect the laws and discard badness for those who support you. And they do not hesitate to imprison. Do good in order to grow and become established. You may build a house or start your own business. You may speak, influence, coach others to enlighten them, or go fishing, or whatever you enjoy doing for leisure. Be free, child. Time waits for no man. You were uprooted, but it is time for your roots to establish and begin to grow. Thank you. So by now you're probably wondering why I'm wearing this crown of thorns. So that is because the next book I'm going to read from Starfish Blossoms is a collection of poems that mainly talks to the condition of African womanhood, the plight of womanhood. But I'm also celebrating that womanhood, the beautiful experiences and the bad experiences. But I'm also talking to women especially to say, it is time for us to say no to suffering. It is time to say no thank you to crowns of thorns. We don't need to suffer, and we don't need to accept this suffering. So the first poem I'm going to read from Starfish Blossoms, which is the NAMA award-winning collection of poems. The poem is called Barbed Crowns. Barbed crowns passed down as diadems of pride to women suffering since days disremembered are weighing me down. This crown of thorns perched on my head is bruised, and when I open my mouth to speak, I die. From sipping the caustic milk, sipping from it, dripping down my face like the pain passed down spawns, spawning the fight or flight of my forefathers, fathers, brothers, emasculated through subjugation. Chifedza and Shiremba, my ancestors, here witnessing my death and rebirth, as I rework this poem of life to replace pricks with a halo of liberty, denouncing my corona of ill fortune, to restore an ethos of equity, renouncing this object on my head, to announce my position as mother of men, with nutritious nectar oozing from breasts large enough to feed and heal the whole nation through this rebellious act of abdication. And now that the the crown is gone, I'll read a couple of love poems, because I believe that if you're subjugated, or if you're beneath certain people, or if you're suffering, you can't, you fear the people who inflict pain on you, or the people who make you suffer. So it's only when you've said no to suffering that you can love truly. So I've got some beautiful love poems that are African themed in this book. So one of the poems I'm going to read is called God's Creatures and Rivers. And it's about a long distance relationship. And I think a lot of people in this country will have at some point gone through it. You get wives or husbands coming here first, and then the wives follow or whatever, but the love still remains and the relationships remain. So this is God's Creatures and Rivers. When he takes and sends you snaps of termites foraging on rich red crystalline soil, of millipedes strolling parched earth, fusing threadbare fields of grass, of rivers flowing amidst baobab, marula, and mopane trees, with foliage through the seasons transforming from vivid vibrations of green to muted yellow tones and brilliant bursts of gold, burgundy, and brown, before dying, dropping, and reawakening. This, not far from never-dying aloes, cacti, and mukonde trees, roosting in sands, feasting on the magnolia sun from break of day to fall of night, flowering and fruiting for the birds of the air, from far, far away, to show you he loves you. Best believe he worships you, with the certainty of death and verity of rebirth, as seasons flow with the flare of fall, and God's creatures dance for you, and her rivers flow for you. Thank you. I'll do one more poem from Starfish Blossoms, and it's another love poem. And this poem was actually inspired by knitting a scarf. One day I was knitting a scarf for the man I love, and I realized that it's actually a beautiful way of channeling your love and energy to someone else. So if you're into any craft, whether it's knitting or painting or whatever, it's a way, if you produce a gift for someone using your craft, it's a beautiful way of channeling your love to them. And so I thought of one by one rib stitch. It's actually one by one rib stitch is actually the name of a pattern. If there's anyone in here who knows how to knit. So here's one by one rib stitch. How else can I love you when I can't be there to show you? If I knit you a scarf in chunky indigo, would it warm you like the joy that radiates from my heart when I contemplate how much you love me? Would it hug you right, fondling your cheeks like the yielding embrace of my well-upholstered cleavage? Would it hold you tight, gently drawing you in like the grand encirclement of my meaty thighs? Will you be the yarn between the thick needles dancing between my legs as you feed off my verve? It takes 30 years for an agave to flower once, then it dies, meanwhile preserving all its energy for the right time and place. So I cast on 30 stitches and knit insistently, one by one rib stitch as I do the inner work. Will these ribs protect our hearts? A meditation and energy exchange as I knit one, bring the yarn around, and pearl one, then bring the yarn over, like the complexity of our souls intertwined, like the infinite loops of delight in our love. I yarn between the two thick needles and channel my love to you, releasing the tension of time, space, and epochs that separate us. And as the yarn runs out, will your longing grow, as does my deep yearning for our souls to reignite? Am I your rib? Am I truly your rib? Knit one, bring the yarn around, and pearl one, then bring the yarn over in the rib stitch, till I cast off 30 stitches, till I see an agave in full bloom, the clones of which I'd seeds scattered as tassels on your scarf. Our love, our ancestral gift, like the scarf, lasts a lifetime. And finally, I'll read from Tesserae. Tesserae is an anthology of poems by 37 Zimbabwean women. So, as you heard from the MCs, I am a publisher. One of the things I do is to use my platform to raise the profiles and to amplify voices of upcoming Zimbabwean writers. So this is the latest anthology that was actually published last month, and 37 Zimbabwean women contributed to this. There are over 170 poems in here. So I'll read you a couple of my poems that are also in here. I contributed 6 poems to this book. So the first one, I mean, I do write about serious issues like equality and and things like that. But because I wanted to maintain the lovely mood here, I'm going to focus on the love poems. But there are quite some deep poems in these books, and I would encourage you to read them. So the first poem is called "There Are No Words," and it's a poem that encourages society to accept that the older woman does still have feelings. One of the things I observed on social media and all over the place is once a woman turns 30, they're shamed when they demand love or when they expect to be loved like everybody else. I've seen nasty name calling, things like, oh yeah, you're now stale milk once you're 30 and blah, 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 and that is just so wrong. So this poem is called "There Are No Words," and it's a poem that encourages love, forever. It doesn't matter how old you are, you deserve to be loved. So, there are no words for how I feel lying in bed mid-morning, full of fancy and outlandish thoughts, waiting and wanting. My fluttering chest makes me feel at ease about my age. And I wonder whether broken older women are allowed to be in love, to be savored like infusions of luxury loose leaves. Does fine tea taste good in crumbling teacups? Like women raised by mothers reminded daily that they did not deserve love, no matter how much they gave. Like tea sweepings with base flavor, they got nothing but apathy and tried harder. They were rebels, those women, injecting more and more love into hate till they hurt independency. I too am a rebel, a different kind, scouring for raw love till I find it frisking in my marrow. For what is life without love? Yet to yearn for it so intensely feels foul and surreal to feel the wanting returned. When I think of how much I want to feel your hands on my skin, I quiz my urges. Is this love or lust? The probing of feelings ingrained in women shut down to their needs and desires, shamed all their lives for just being like tea dust. But I am who I am, lusting, loving, being. When I think of us as one, the depth of expectancy brewing in my soul reboots my mind. A sweet evanescence repeated again and again and again. I'm spent by playing out the scenes of us together, yet my mind won't rest. I try to pen my emotions, but I fail the words as much as they fail me. Now, the last poem is a short one, and again, it's a poem about love, but it's encouraging people who've been broken, people who've been heartbroken, people who've lost hope in love, to not lose hope. You self-sabotage when you decide to not love again simply because someone's broken you before. So this is a poem that's just encouraging you to open up and accept love and continue to love no matter what you've been through. So it's called Lullaby for a Sleepy Heart. You have a sleepy heart that doesn't remember much about love, and a rigid waist that doesn't remember how to move. But when you face your next kiss, the 7 archangels hover over you to sing a lullaby for your sleepy heart. And as your flesh unfurls to their euphony, your spirit awakens and your tongue recalls how to dance. Thank you very much.